Guru just sent me. He slid into my DMs on the IG, and
here he comes. Here he comes.
Yeah, he sent me a video. It's like a montage of Jordan Poole driving to the hoop, different slow-mo plays where Jordan was unbelievable and dynamic with his ball handling and his speed and attacking the basket. And just like a little slow jam underneath it.
No, I got it too.
Yeah. A little we belong together kind of a vibe. Gonna miss you, Jordan. You're not gonna know how good you had it till I'm gone kind of a vibe. Did you respond to him yet? Because I responded and I said, this is amazing. Now do the one with all the turnovers. I'd love to see all the slow-mo plays of Jordan ending up on the ground while the ball is in the hands of the other team going the other direction. Or maybe a slow-mo of Steph Curry throwing his mouthpiece. Or a slow-mo of Draymond Green walking off the court because they're so fed up with Jordan Poole. I don't want to make it all about one guy. I've sat here and told you for weeks, when things go wrong, it's never one person's fault. It's not all Jordan Poole's fault. But I don't believe that anybody with the Warriors organization, himself included, has any interest in continuing this relationship.
I think that he's interested in getting that bag, and he's got the bag coming to him.
He's got it.
I won't speak for Jordan Poole because I don't know Jordan Poole, as we famously heard from Priest, who had that great drop, and I agree with him, and he's right. So we'll find out. We'll find out what Jordan Poole wants to do. And if he's here and Draymond's here and this year goes the way it went this last year in terms of Jordan Poole and the frustration therein, then the Warriors aren't going to be a championship team. And that's a fact. So if he stays and Draymond stays, can you mend it? Or if you can't mend it, then one of them's got to go.
Well, if it is really going the way that we're starting to feel and hear that it's going, and I do believe this is way bigger than Draymond and Jordan Poole. I think we've made it about that way too much. I think those are the headliners, obviously because of the punch and because Draymond is the emotional leader. He's also the emotional instigator in this particular case. So we've made it all about Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. I don't think that. I think it's way bigger than that. And in fact, I think there's plenty of evidence that would suggest that many, many times during his tenure since getting the contract squared away, that this is the whole Warrior team against Jordan Poole. As it feels like the organization against Jordan Poole. They did not suspend Draymond Green. I think there's a reason. They'll never say this. You can't say it publicly. What if, behind closed doors, everybody with the Warriors is thinking to themselves, yeah, I can see why somebody hauled off and hit the guy.
Well, actions speak louder than words, Mark. And we do know this. We do know that Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the face. And we also know that the team didn't suspend Draymond Green. Mm-hmm. Whatever else was said behind closed doors, those are words. We know that the actions involved was one teammate socking another teammate, and the teammate who threw the punch and the teammate who received the punch were both there when the season opened, and it was ring night. So the player who delivered the blow was not rebuked in any formal way. Now, there were some behind closed doors conversations, and he had to earn the trust back and all the rest of it. Words, those are all words, but the actions were not taken in terms of, to your point, having Jordan Poole's back. Mm-hmm. They certainly didn't. And so now you skip forward through a whole season and a year where you lose to the Lakers in 6, and now you're wondering what comes next. And now again, actions will speak louder than words. Steve Kerr on the Draymond Green podcast talking about, well, the Heat role players, they knew their role, and they didn't complain about this, that, or the other. Those are words. Those are powerful words. What happens next when it comes to action? Either the action will be Draymond stays and Poole stays, which feels like the most likely thing, by the way, that Draymond and Poole will both be Golden State Warriors. That, to me, feels the most likely.
I don't know about that.
The next most likely, to me, is Jordan's here and Draymond's gone. The third most likely would be Draymond's here and Jordan's gone.
Wow, see, I'll pick that one.
As the most likely.
Absolutely.
And then the fourth most likely would be both are gone. Because one of those four things is going to happen. Both are here, both are gone, Jordan's here, Draymond's here.
I feel like there's almost no chance that Draymond's gone. Next to none.
So there's no chance that both are gone by proxy.
Correct.
So then the remaining two would be both are here or just Draymond's here.
I think I'll pick just Draymond.
Yeah. And I probably will too, just because I said that 3 months ago. I said that I could not imagine these two both being here. But the more I think about it in terms of, the future and the business part of it and no Bob Myers, I think Bob being gone makes it a little bit more likely that Draymond might be gone.
I'll agree with that, I guess, but I feel like the thing is so far down the road to the point of Kerr even going on Draymond's podcast. I think there's messaging in there.
Yeah.
And one of them, as you've stated, is that these guys, they've been as clear as day. The whole organization is that they're bringing the key players back, and the Jordan thing is, man, it's prickly. It's difficult. You can see it. Dale and Cupertino here with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Dale, what are you doing? Dale?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah, I thought it cut out there for a second.
We got you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Oh, Dale, we're not gonna do this much longer. What do you got, bud?
Well, I was really a Kerr-backer until the first words after they lost out. The coach threw the young under the bus and said the big three got to stay. Keep in mind the big three are more than half the salary. Maybe that's why Bob resigned, is he financially couldn't keep the team alive with all three. So I think we're going to see question marks here in terms of, I'm not a fan of Draymond anymore. I mean, he got rid of Durant. He's punched Poole. He's yelling at the junior players in every game. He thinks he's the coach. And Kerr kind of lets him be the coach, which Draymond Green is like daddy's girl. Daddy's girl can't do anything wrong. So I think the toxin is in having two aged players who make a lot of money who made more turnovers in the playoffs than one young player.
Dale, I know a lot of us are looking at things unfold. Thanks for the call and sort of attaching to it. Oh, maybe this is why Bob left, or that's why Bob left. Listen, this is one of those things. We're obviously never going to have 100% certainty why he left, and he's going to make it about family, and we're going to read into it. Maybe it was, they're not going to give him the money, or he didn't want to have to trade one of the big guys. To me, to this date, the best clue about why he left was shown in that press conference, and what I felt were uncomfortable moments and words from Joe Lacob. That's through my eyes. I'd have a hard time thinking like Bob left because there was no way out with regard to the roster building here, or that the organization's like, you have to do this, but you're not allowed to spend money. I mean, Joe doesn't say that.
No.
A day after being like, we're going to win no matter what the rules are.
Right.
Like, he's definitely still going to spend maybe not all the dollars. He's going to spend a lot.
He's going to still be over the tax.
Yes.
He's not getting below the tax threshold. He's not going to chop all the salary to get to a point where now they are the Oakland A's of the NBA, and they're just making a tidy little profit. Competition be damned. We don't care how we do the rest of the way in terms of wins and losses. And I do think, reflecting back on the Joe Lacob portion of the press conference, that he did realize, I don't know if he found out just a few hours ago, but it finally sunk in a few hours ago before the press conference that Bob was leaving. I think he held out a small sliver of possibility that even in the 11th hour, he could convince Bob to stay because Bob's competitive and he's competitive. And why would you want to leave this, Bob? Because you and I are both really competitive and I want to keep fighting for this, and so do you. And then Bob finally let him know without a shadow of a doubt that he was leaving.
Right.
So when Joe said what he said, like, I just found out a few hours ago that Bob was leaving, I think what he really meant in that was it finally sunk in that Bob is leaving.
Yeah, or he finally gave up trying to convince him otherwise.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, the press conference had been scheduled for a week. So, and Joe's a part of it. So we're to believe that Joe just 3 hours before speaking was told this is what you're going to go speak about.
Right.
I got a hard time believing that one. So, yeah, I don't know what he actually meant by that, but the idea that this just landed in his lap for the first time is obviously kind of ridiculous.
And to your previous point about the money and him competing, you're Joe Lacob right now, and it's June 6th, and you're thinking about the draft coming up, and you're thinking obsessively, how do I get my team better? Because you know the NBA Finals are going on, and Denver's the best team in your conference, but they look vulnerable, and an 8 seed in the East might do the improbable, or as you called it, the most unlikely, the biggest upset run in your adult life in terms of a team from this spot doing what they might potentially do. So think about it in terms of Joe Lacob. You're watching this play out, and you're thinking, much like you believe, we're not that far off from Denver, and if Denver is a team that could be vulnerable to an 8-seeded Miami, and the Warriors are thinking we're probably better than Miami right now, or at least competitive with Miami. How do we tweak this thing? What do I do between now and October to keep this train a-rolling?
Well, it's also just like every year is different. You know, I think the quirk that we do, which is we'll get to the end. Let's say Denver wins this thing in 6 games, and we'll be like, oh my gosh, the Warriors have to figure out a way to beat Denver. Maybe. Or maybe Denver will go sideways next year.
Right.
Or maybe someone will get hurt.
Like Memphis has gone sideways.
Like repeating is incredibly hard. You don't just show up and do it. And so could things spin the Warriors' way next year? Sure. And there's a few other teams in that boat too. That's kind of where I'm at on it. Al in Pacifica next up with Willie and Dibby. Hey, Al, what are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just finished the oil change. I'm about to pick up some seafood for dinner tonight.
Okay, every 3,000 miles. Good for you.
What's up?
Nothing, Al. I'm just
He's riffing.
I'm just being a weirdo. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, great show so far, man. I'm listening to all these blames and all these scapegoats hitting up Steve Kerr, but I just want to know, like, what all-time Hall of Fame coach has developed a player that doesn't want to be developed? There's a saying in business and operations world, development should be 80% owned by the person looking to get better. So does Jordan Poole want to get better? Does Jonathan Kuminga want to get better? Moses Moody, I see it. We all see it in the playoffs. But we need to stop putting the blame on Steve Kerr. Looking back at all the years in the NBA, like the history of the NBA, Bill Russell, Phil Jackson coaching Jordan, Phil Jackson coaching Pippen, Phil Jackson coaching Rodman, Doc Rivers coaching Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Greg Popovich coaching Duncan and Parker, Phil Jackson again coaching Kobe and Shaq. Like, which one of these Hall of Fame coaches actually spend time trying to develop a player that does not want to be developed?
Well, Al, this is a good point, but let me take your point even further and look at it from a different lens, which is to say, when have you ever heard of a player get markedly better, like he develops? He goes from G League or the bench, and he becomes a star player in the league. When you see that, how many people go, man, the coaching, am I right?
Yeah.
Incredible coaching. No, we give the player all the credit. So when a player doesn't develop, why are we going so often straight to the coach?
He nailed it when he said 80%, and I think that's a fair way to put it.
I do too.
It's 80% on the individual, no matter what your craft is. So you and I have been doing this a long time, but you take one of the younger broadcasters in our fold here. Yeah, we'll take you, Grandy, as a great example. In the back, if he develops, and he and Evan Giddings and Lucas, all of our young people here are talented. They all grind, and they're all getting better, quite frankly. I think about Stephen Langford, who's now anchoring on KCBS. He started as an intern on the Rise Guys at 19. And so now the big joke for me is, wow, I developed Stephen Langford, you know. Well,
except for, you say that about every single media person in the entire market.
Only the good ones.
Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of the point of the bit, Mart, is because these guys, all these young people, and when Grandy and Evan 10 years from now are crushing it and doing jobs, you know, much like the jobs that we have, hopefully not our jobs, because I still want my job and your job, but I'll be taking credit. But the credit goes to them, and the credit goes to Kawhi Leonard, for example, and not Greg Popovich, who went from San Diego State to NBA Finals MVP. It wasn't because Popovich sat with him every day and showed him how to dribble with his left hand.
Well, what's wild is Jordan Poole used to be a G leaguer and then developed into a real thing in the NBA. And then it's not even like that never ends up on Kerr's resume. And I'm not even necessarily saying that it should. I don't think we got to a spot this year where the development stopped. I think we got to a spot this year where Jordan Poole and the Warriors stopped looking at development the same way. I think there's a difference of opinion between Jordan Poole and the Warriors, and I think it trickled down to Jonathan Kuminga. There's a difference of opinion in what that looks like, and that's our rub. It's not that, as so many of you say, Steve Kerr doesn't give a rip about development. It's so funny to me. I never am going to tell you that any of these guys do a perfect job, but a lot of people's opinions seem to suggest that these coaches want to lose. Like, what on earth are we doing?
Right.
Steve Kerr is just walking around in circles, kicking himself in the shin? Man, Kuminga would be amazing if I just let him play, but I'm not going to because I don't like him because he hasn't had his 23rd birthday yet. What kind of weirdo character are we building here? He wants to win.
Right.
And they think that this is the best way, and there's got to be a reason for that. And I see a difference of opinion on how to go about doing that. Jordan and Jonathan think it rests with them having larger roles, and Steve thinks it rests with them doing a better job with the roles they have.
And that's the other interesting part. And what would you say about a head coach who came out and said, I'm not that interested in winning games because I think that the only way to develop these guys is by giving them 28 to 32 minutes a night. So we're going to play Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, and Poole a ton. And, Steph's going to play probably 28 or 30 minutes. And, Clay's going to play about 30 minutes. And Wiggins, we're going to give him nights off. And Kevon, you're going to play about 12 minutes. And Draymond, you're going to play about 22 minutes because, darn it, we need to develop these young players. And developing the young players means I got to play them on the court when the development of a young player, and think about Trey Lance in terms of his development, even if you think that his development only happens when he plays, a quarterback only throws the ball about 30 times in the Shanahan offense at the most. So you're saying those 30 plays are the only time where Trey Lance can really develop as a passer?
Yeah.
It's foolish.
Yeah.
Or a baseball player. Your 4 at-bats, Casey Schmidt, that's the only time where you can develop. Forget the film study, the BP, the field work, the meetings, and all the rest of the things that goes into being a major leaguer. So a lot of times we lose sight of what development really means.
Totally agree. Rich in Fremont next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Rich, what are you doing?
Hey, guys, how's it going, man? I'm just driving, going to my next stop here. By the way, you know who employs me?
Who employs you?
Atco Pest Control, man. If you need pest control problems and you need service to take rid of nasty rats, you call Atco.
Well, I love it. AtcoPestControl.com for all your pest control needs. Guru leaves the read in front of me every day.
Just in case. And now, Rich, you have to put the rat on the table since you did that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I am. So the rat is this. You said earlier that, because you've been getting a few tweets from individuals saying that they want Steve Kerr out and they hope Draymond Green is out. And it kind of felt to you that, you kind of see, I guess, a couple more tweets. Now you're thinking that most of the fan base is on board with this.
No, not most. And I said that. I said that this might be a very vocal minority, Rich.
Get him, Rich.
Yeah, hey, I'm here to speak for the fan base who knows and understands. Under no circumstances do we want Steve Kerr gone. Under no circumstances do we want Draymond Green gone. These individuals that are doing these tweets, these are young kids, man. These are the ones that, satisfy me now. That's that group, okay?
Yeah.
It's like these are the ones they forget, hey, by the way, just last year, Steve Kerr and company brought you a title. And now you're upset. Why? Because we got to the second round. And so what do you think this is? What, you think getting back-to-back titles is easy? It's like it's not. So you didn't get satisfied this year. Hey, learn patience. This is the NBA. There are other players and teams out there just as good as the Warriors, and they're going to attack just like the Warriors would. Mm-hmm. So they lost this year. Hey, guess what? There's next year. Show some patience. This is the NBA. It ain't set up for your satisfy me now attitude. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Rich.
Rich.
It's a very good call. Although I'll say this, I do think Steve Kerr and Draymond Green are different conversations when it comes to this. Also, a small sample, but you and I and the whole staff, we sat there at the Warriors Summit,
Buon Vino,
not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and we put out to the audience, which was not just a bunch of 25-year-olds, do you want Draymond Green on the team or not? And it was split, man. It was 50-50 at best. It might have been 60-40 against.
Yeah.
And I get why people, again, I understand why you're worn out by Draymond. I understand that. I do think it's a hell of a reach, though, and a jump to go from that to we want him off the team. And
well, Mark, I want him on the team, but I also want him off the team.
Okay, explain that.
And it's fascinating because there's never been a player in my sports fandom life that I've loved and hated in equal amounts, and sometimes over the course of the same quarter, because he's so exhausting with his referee complaining and his barking and his stomping, missing open shots and blaming everyone, yet all he does is win championships. So you can't win with him. You can't win without him. Or you have to win with him, and you can't win without him.
Is there a little Garoppolo comp there? Not because of complaining, but just kind of the like, gosh, we have never done very well without him, but damn it.
To me, the closest thing is Bumgarner. In terms
Bumgarner.
of just like, come on, bum.
Yeah.
No, it was a lot. It was more than just the end. Like barking at people and
snot rocket.
I don't mind the Rockets, but staring people down.
Yeah. There's a freaking World Series hero.
Right?
Like a hero.
Every game, 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earning.